In his famous doghouse. It was a big deal when I built it 4 years ago.
Built his dog Teddy a custom doghouse inside his home, and it's amazing.
Teddy, I told you we're filming for Rachel Ray today.
Oh, and that house is absolutely adorable.
We were in the news a lot, and life was crazy, but while it may look okay on camera, it's got some major issues. See, my dad was supposed to teach me about home improvement and help me build it, but he passed away of cancer, so I built it and did the best I could, but it's got some issues. Unfinished drawers, bad wiring, and lots of holes from videos over the years. On top of it all, it's pink thanks to Teddy's sister Rue. So I put some protection on Teddy and decided to rebuild it the right way. I'm excited to put some cool features like an automatic lamb chop dispenser, and my project manager did a great job supervising. We cleaned it up and Teddy got his first look and he was shocked. But you've got to trust the process. It's going to be awesome. Follow for part 2. I destroyed the most famous doghouse in the world so I could build it back better and bigger. My supervisor would not take his eyes off me, so it was time to get back to work cleaning up, and I was left with this big hole in the wall. The first step was to take out the square door frame. I asked whether you wanted square or arched, and over 90% of you said you wanted an arched door frame. So I made a template, traced it out and cut it out, made the frame, and just like that, the arched doorway was born. Then I had to clean up this wiring. It was a mess, and it took a little bit. I put new supports in and wired for new outdoor lights, and after it was all cleaned up, it was looking a little bit better. But my supervisor was not giving any breaks, so I had to get back to work hanging drywall. I connected the drywall, cut out the arched doorway, and after all that was done, I finally put in the door frame. And after a long day of work, I decided to take a little break. My supervisor caught me, and this dog had the audacity to write me up for being lazy. I couldn't believe it. This guy runs a tight ship. But follow for part 3, that's where the real magic begins and it starts looking like a doghouse. I destroyed the most famous doghouse in the world so I could build it back better and bigger. I went from this hole in the wall to this after drywall and wiring, and then it was time for a fresh coat of paint. I got that done and then found out my supervisor hired another supervisor, so I was really under watch. I had to get the roof done, so I put 4 different sizes of wood together and then cut them to make the roof. I figured out what angle I wanted and then hung it on the wall, and then it was time to wire Teddy's Ring doorbell. After that, I made some spaces for the lights to push them out from the wall, and then I test fit the lights that you voted for. It was looking good, but it was time for stone. I made a template of the house to make stone laying easier, and then my supervisor hired another supervisor. I wasn't really worried about her though. Then it was time for stone. It was looking great, but I was filthy and it was 2 a.m. and somebody texted the neighborhood group chat and asked who was cutting at 2 a.m. So it was time to quit for the night. But I woke up the next morning and put in some really satisfying pieces, including that one. And then after all that work, it was looking like a doghouse. But you have to stick around for part 4. We're putting in a working chimney, unveiling the new doormat, and much more finishing touches. I'm building my dog the coolest doghouse in the world, and we were really excited about the next feature. I've always wanted a chimney on the house, but never really knew how to make it work, but it was time. I mapped out where I wanted the chimney and started assembling the stone, and it was coming along really nice. But then I had to figure out how to make smoke come out. I found this compact smoke machine that's neat because it's dog friendly and it dissolves quickly, so it was going to work perfect. I attached a tube to the machine and put a hole in the wall so I could feed it out, and then I put holes to the studs to feed the tube through. Once I got it through, it came out perfectly, and then I put the last piece of stone on it and then a copper topper, and it was time to test it out. We had smoke. I was pumped. I'd been waiting for this moment a long time, but I woke up the next morning and decided I didn't like that topper, so I went with the natural stone, but with a touch of a button, we have smoke. Let me know in the comments if you like the stone or the copper topper better, but stick around for part 4. We're going to finish the house with some cool touches and then the inside. People called me crazy when I destroyed my dog's famous doghouse, but I wanted to build it back better and bigger. I went from this to this to this, and now it was time to finish it. I started with building the stone chimney that you saw in the last video, and it actually worked, and then it was time for finishing touches. I painted some and then started making the gable decorations. I asked you if you wanted straight or curved, and it was a very close vote, so I made a little bit of both, and it worked out great. My supervisor was not impressed though. Then I started wiring his outdoor lights and made sure they were perfectly level, which they were. And then it was time to test them out, and of course I had to put a clapper switch on it. Nice. My supervisor still was not impressed though. Tough crowd. I got to wiring his Ring doorbell and tested that out, and it worked great. And then it was time for more finishing touches, like one of my favorites, the doormat. All the dogs are welcome, but it'll always be the Teddy house. Like I said before, when I built this the first time, I just didn't do it right because I didn't know what I was doing. I took my time and built it right this time, and Teddy was ready to get back inside. But that's another story. Follow innovation. Teddy's house was looking great, but it was missing something. A door. It was going to get dusty for the inside renovation, so it was time to make a little Teddy house door. I measured it, cut it out, and it fit perfectly, and then it was time to cut out the window. I did a lot of router work, then I put in the frame for the window, and then more router work, and after all of that, it was looking like a cute little door. It was time for paint and patch. Then I cut out some plexiglass for the window, put on the handle, and after all that, it was looking like the cutest door you've ever seen. I'll put on two-way hinges eventually, but for now I put on magnets to hold it on, and it just sets off the house. It makes it look so cute. Let me know what else I should add to the house before we move to the inside renovation. Teddy's house was looking great in the outside, the inside, not so much. If you're new here 4 years ago, I had an idea that changed everything for us, to transform this junk closet into the world's most famous doghouse, and it was a big deal.
And that house is absolutely adorable.
We were in the news a lot, and the original plan was to build it with my dad, who knew all about home improvement, but he passed away from cancer, so I tackled it myself and did the best I could, and it looked great, but it had some issues. Bad wiring, woodworking, holes, and extension cords in the walls. Yeah, I know, I tried. So now that I knew what I was doing, it was time to demo it and build it back the right way. I had a moment because it hit me that the last time I was in this process, it was a really sad time for me, but I was excited to build it back the right way, so I pushed on. I took out Teddy's bed and he was not happy. I got this, Ted. I tore out his fireplace and gave it a good clean, and it was about this time I was wondering, what did I get myself into? Follow us along in this journey as we add cool features like a pull-out bed, fish tank, automatic lamb chop toy dispenser, and much more. The year is 2021, and I'm building one of the coolest features on Teddy's indoor doghouse, the picture window, and it was neat, but it's 2025 and it's time to upgrade it, so I took it apart and we're going to make a digital picture window. I started by taking out his painting and then putting some foam down for the TV to rest against. I placed the TV and then built a frame around the TV, making sure not to block any vents so it could cool properly. After that, Teddy's house could be in the rainforest, the northern lights, it could be beachfront. I installed the window back in the house and we played with some more scenes. We're going to have so much fun with this during the holidays. Follow for more on this build. After destroying Teddy's doghouse, it was time to put it back together, and the first step was electrical, which was a mess. I got lights back on in the house and then got it all cleaned up, and the next step was Teddy's window. I pulled off the picture, put down foam, attached a TV, and just like that, Teddy's house could be anywhere in the world in any weather. After that, I installed an exhaust fan with a humidity sensor that will vent outside to keep the area dry and regulated for what was coming next, and then we got to work on Teddy's bed frame. I used thick 2-inch steel because this frame has to support 100% of the weight of the bed because Teddy is getting a fish tank. We're going to work with an expert tank installer to make sure everything is right with this tank, and then we'll monitor it for a while before fish to make sure there's no issues, no humidity, nothing like that. But Teddy and I sat on it and it was just too tall, so I went back to the drawing board and exchanged the 2-inch steel for 1-inch, and that helped a ton. Let me know what theme you think Teddy's fish tank should be, and then follow for more doghouse content. The more I looked at Teddy's dog bed, the more I just wasn't a fan of it, so it was time to go back to the drawing board, but first I wanted to start on the fireplace. I installed the drywall, put in the fireplace, and then I made this custom mantle out of solid oak wood. I installed that all and we were ready for stone. Under the faithful watch of my supervisor, I laid out all the stone and began putting it on the wall. I decided I didn't like the mantle. I thought it was too skinny, so I pulled it off, made it thicker, and then reinstalled it, and it looked much better. I got to a stopping point, and it was time to address the dog bed. A lot of people were worried that it was too tall, and I agreed. And there's still going to be a fish tank. I just custom ordered a shorter one. So in the meantime, I got started on a new feature. With the touch of his joystick, a dog bed will slide out. The other dogs can use it, and then it'll have an orthopedic mattress in it, so Teddy can use it when he gets older. Follow for the next part when we start to put the finishing touches on the dog bed and make it all come together, and the automatic lamb chop dispenser. I'm on a quest to build the world's coolest doghouse, and it's been a process, but my supervisor said it's time to get back to work and hurry it up. So I started with cutting an access panel for a secret door to get to the components of the doghouse, and then I installed an exhaust fan to catch any moisture coming from the fish tank. I made the deck for the fish tank and then started working on the upper dog bed. I had to make it with steel because I had to be able to bear the weight of Teddy and I if we were sitting on it together. I installed the fish tank and it was a perfect fit and only 1 inch higher than the old bed. And I could open it up and get to 100% of the fish tank. The slide-out bed still worked flawlessly, so it was time to get to some drywall. I had to make a new ceiling because I lowered the ceiling by 2 feet to make room for the new lamb chop dispenser. I got some Govee lights and installed those. And just like that, we had smart lights. After that, I really liked the shiplap look of the old doghouse, so I did the same thing. Follow for the next part because we're finishing this doghouse.